So yes, you can have this boat in the stern drive option. So if you live in a cold part of the world where winterizing is the norm for you, then perhaps that's going to be a better selection for you. However, if you're in a tropical or a subtropical part of the world and you plan on storing your boat in the salt water and using it 12 months of the year, well then this, ladies and gents, the Chris Craft Launch 31 GT might be the boat for you. This is a 45 knot boat if you drive it as such. So twin 300 Merc V8s, fellas, and in this test, I'm going to run through the speeds, go through a couple of waves, then we're going to do some wide open in what flat water we can find. We do have a decent amount of wind today. We've got about 15 knots from the southeast, it feels like, and a little bit more at times. Fair amount of boat wash. It's a beautiful, warm winter's day, so lots of boats out and about. I've got 82% of fuel on board. I've got the Seakeeper stabilisation system, so I've got that on, but I'm also going to turn it off when I feel like it and just talk to you what the experience, or explain what the experience is all about. And let's get the boat up and moving. Clear, clear, clear. All right. Initial acceleration. From my seated position, I still have viz forward, so no issues there. We're up and moving straight away. We've got some boat wash coming in the opposite direction pretty soon, and I'm at a cruising speed of 27 knots. 27 knots with the Seakeeper on auto, but it doesn't appear to be doing anything. I'm about to get a decent amount of wash on my port bow. That looks like a regulator 34, so he's going to put off some decent waves, and we'll just take those head on at 27 knots. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the flare's throwing the waves out to the side. We're going to get some ocean swells in a second. I feel like a little bit more speed will settle the bow just to a bit more of a comfortable angle for someone who is in the seated position, which I am right now. And so it's 29 knots, and that's a 4,100 RPM. It gives me a really comfortable attitude. With the Seakeeper, I can actually feel the Seakeeper doing its thing right now. And my fuel flow, I've got 2.89 litres per nautical mile. Let's just do a couple of S-turns. I've got some shallow water to the left. I've got some moderate swells to the right. I'm going to cut the corner here. Those of you who are from the Gold Coast, I know you know that I'm supposed to go around this marker, but it's high tide at the moment, so I've already checked it and we're okay. But yes, depending on the conditions, you don't want to cut that one short. Getting exposed to some decent wind, got jet skis up ahead, and I'm going to be increasing my speed in a second. So my revs are at 4,200. These Mercs are so quiet. You know, you really don't have any intrusiveness from the engine noise. Now we're in a real decent amount of wind chop, and I'm just going to hold my course to let the jet skis go around me, and I'm going to increase my speed. They may form up on my transom to jump the waves, but no, they're all passing to starboard. Okay, I got green on the right, red on the left. I'm going to wait till I get around the corner here. Now doing 4,500 revs, one jet ski, unsure of his action, and he's clear now. I'm going to wait for the last guy. He's clear. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Got my straight line up ahead, 4,400 revs, getting a speed return of 32 knots. Let's go. Okay, so I've got the Seakeeper active, which may slow me down. I've got the trim, that's the engine trim on auto, 5,900 revs. I'm seeing 42 knots. We're only supposed to do 40 in the channel here, so I better back that off. But we are clearly capable of doing 45. Here I am back at 40 now, just adhering to the rules. Definitely capable. What I'm going to do is slow down and turn around. I've got two guys on windsurfers up ahead. I'll just just show my intentions are clear. This time I'm going to deactivate. I'm going to deactivate the Seakeeper, and we're going to be going into the wind this time. Clear, clear, clear. And I'm just going to rip it up into the wind, and we'll feel without the Seakeeper, because with 20 degrees of dead rise, 13 at the transom, we should get quite a sporty feel on this boat if we want to put it into a couple little fun turns. Let's go, full acceleration. Engine trim down, up on the plane, 20 knots, 25, climbing, 4,900, 5,000, 5,100, ripping through 5,400, 37 knots, 39 knots, 5,600, 5,700, heaps of speed. This is a 45 knot boat if you drive it as such. Coming off the pace. Into the shallow water. We're going to find somewhere suitable to demonstrate the parking. Okay, so it's not all about how fast the boat can go. It's primarily about how comfortable and what speed you want to be cruising at for best cruise and fuel economy and your guests. So that's what we're doing now whilst we head to a beautiful place called Sovereign Island, where I suspect many of you guys who actually would be interested in owning a Chris craft live. So we're going to go have a little play around in there. But just to demonstrate, keeping the revs under 4,000 as we are right now, we're on 3,800 revs. The trim setting with no Seakeeper stabilisation on is really comfortable. I've got good level attitude, good viz over the bow. From a seated position, the wind doesn't start till like here. So if you're wearing a hat, it's totally cool. You don't actually have to because of this beautiful solid roof, which we'll talk about in the walkthrough. But we've got a speed return of 24.7 knots. We are in a tidal zone, so that's going to vary a little bit. And our fuel economy is 3.11 litres per nautical mile, okay? So that's a pretty good speed return for under 4,000 revs. And then if we just notch that up a little bit, as I was saying before, because the boat assumes an even more level attitude, because we're not a super deep V boat, and we only got 20 degrees, which is perfect for these kind of conditions. If you lower the bow just that little bit more, you are going to introduce that cutting angle of the bow onto those oncoming waves, and you'll potentially just soften out the ride a bit more. So at 4,150 revs, I've got an easy 28 to 29 knots speed return downwind at the moment, and that's super, super comfortable. All right, let's head to Sovereign. We're a bit further upriver now where it's super smooth, and sitting at 4,300 revs, just over 30 knots speed return. The boat's super happy, just over 3 litres per nautical mile, and this is a really, really great setting. I believe going to be comfortable for most of the time. You can even get up on the bolster like this, and you still are not going to lose your hat from this position. Really lovely. Standing, well, actually, I can just make it from standing position. That's okay. And you know what? It's sending the wind up at such an angle that I'm still not going to lose my hat. But I don't really feel the need. I'm pretty happy right here. So I've come to a slightly protected zone. I said to you I'm just simulating what you guys are probably going to be doing coming back to your house. So we're in the canals here. The winds are probably up to about 20 knots now, I would say, outside of the canal. So we are getting a few bullets here and there. Not a big issue for a boat of this windage and this weight. We're over 5,000 kgs, whatever that is in pounds, and we're pretty low. So we are on the heavier side, and so therefore this boat is not going to get overtaken by the wind as quickly as some boats. And we've got the twin engine, so we're running the twin outboards, obviously, which gives us twin engine maneuverability. I don't have a bow thruster on this one, but I do have the joystick. But what I'm going to do initially, I'm just going to test the maneuverability using the transverse thrust. So that just means one engine in forward and another engine in reverse. And I'm just going to see how the boat responds just in this protected area here. So just coming to a full stop first. And I'm just doing it from the seated position because my viz is really good. Okay. All right, I've got one engine in forward, one engine in reverse, and I'm just varying the revs on one of those engines while keeping the other one consistent, and I'm rotating my head left and right so I can get a good situational awareness, and by doing that I'm able to keep the boat pretty much in the one spot. Now I'm going to reduce, and I want you to notice that I also just have my left hand on my lap. I'm doing that deliberately because if you drive transverse thrust with two hands, you're going to possibly put yourself in a position where you may run the throttles a little bit quicker than what they're designed to be, because it's not a video game. We're still running throttles that have to go through a mechanical device, which is our motors. So you want to let those engines, allow those engines time to sort of spool up and spool down, go into neutral, and then go into the other gear. So I've got to now test skyhook, and what I'm going to do, just to make my life easy, I do this when I don't have a skyhook, and I do this when I do have a skyhook. If you were just waiting for your mates, say you come here and you're picking up your buddies from that dock right over there, but they're not there yet, and you perhaps need to go get the lines and the fenders out and get the boat organised before you approach the dock. So what you can do, you can always just stick the stern of the boat into the wind. Now we have a flag on the bow and we have a flag on the stern, but you can also just, a boat like this, stand up, move your head around, and when you feel wind on your nose and on both ears, what I should say is when you feel wind on both ears, your nose is pointing into the wind. Because as you turn your head around, you'll feel the wind on one ear, and when you feel it on both ears, your nose is pointing into the wind. So that's a little telltale, or you got flags around you. And my point is, by just sticking the motors into the wind, when you do have days like today, you can just, in a very relaxed manner, just engage reverse on one engine and the other using that transverse thrust that we've just practiced, and just keep the boat pretty much stationary. Because if you try and put the bow into the wind, it's always going to take over and it'll fall away and the boat will be flipping around all over the place. But as you can possibly see through the cameras here, I'm quite relaxed. You know, I can move my head around for situational awareness, and I can keep the boat in pretty good control, even though I've got bullets of wind flowing through. But if you don't want to do all that, we've got a wonderful joystick, and you just press skyhook and look cool. And now the computer's just doing everything I explained to you for us. And so it's now talking to a bunch of satellites, and it's going to move the engines independently. You'll see one go one direction and the other go another direction, and it will rev up and down according to what it needs to do to keep the boat within a general area. It's not exact, so don't let your kids jump in the water. That would be really dangerous. There's actually a little warning here at the dash, but I just want you to settle that one in your mind. Never allow anyone to go in the water if you activate skyhook, because you could run over them, and that would ruin your day. But you can possibly see on the camera now, she's just doing her thing. She's in a quite relaxed manner. And I'll suggest to you that if you activate this skyhook with your bow into the wind, you're going to hear the engines just doing all this crazy stuff, because it's going to be working super hard because Mother Nature is fighting against your bows. Exactly what I was referring to before when you're doing it in the manual way. But let's deactivate skyhook now, and let's just we won't go all the way up to this guy's dock because I don't actually know him, but let's now use the joystick. And I do appreciate a slightly heavier boat in this sort of scenario, but let's now walk the boat sideways. I'm going up to a fended dock. So that's quite controllable, guys. And I'm not gonna, I don't know this bloke, so I'm not gonna actually go much closer than that. But side slipping the boat, it's going to require a little bit of joystick control in terms of sideways movement and also some oscillation like that, because whilst we are in the middle of the boat, all the mechanical activity is taking place at the back of the boat. So remember, you do need to allow for that with some fine adjustments at the helm. So now let's slide back out into the channel. But the joystick, it does allow you to rotate your head like this, maintain really good situational awareness, and the boat's going to follow along. When you're trying to do that in your traditional manner, life just gets a little bit more complicated. And you can also do things like flip up the bolster, increase your head height, and assume a sideways stance like this. Not only do you look really cool when you're coming to get your mates, which is kind of important on a Chris Craft, but you increase your visibility. If you've got friends sitting back there, you can see over their heads. I can see the transom. I'm a short bloke, and I can see all the way around. So I'm not really going to put myself, well, because I can see everything, it's unlikely that I'm going to put myself in a silly situation. Now finally, you do want to think about your fenders and your lines. They store below deck, and we've got lots of storage all the way around the boat. If you've come from the tour, you've already seen that. But you definitely want to prepare all of that well in advance, because we have a beautiful paint job on these boats. So do care for it. Make sure your dock has pro fender if you're keeping the boat in the water, or if you're approaching a strange dock, have your fenders, make sure they've got the covers on them, have them deployed on the starboard or port side. We've got fender hooks, but we've also got cleats. So just be ready with a few options. So if you have fenders set up on the fender hooks, set up for your dock height, make sure you've got some extra fenders with rope that you can adjust to the gunnel's height if you were going to do, say, a raft up situation on another boat. So just factor that in and you should be all right. Okay, I think it's time to go somewhere and drop the anchor. So this, ladies and gents, is what you can do when you have outboards. I'm just going to give that a little bit of power there because we are in a tidal zone, so I'll just make sure she's... There we go, that feels good. I've got plenty of deep water behind me. I know the location, and tide's moving me a little bit. I'll just tickle that up one more time. Okay, I'll give the engine a trim up. Power off. So, this is what you can do with outboards in beautiful locations like this. Obviously prepare with the windscreen and the door open here. And, you know, if you want to anchor, that's obviously an option too. So I better show you how that operates. Come in close and have a look. But I just wanted to show you that with an outboard powered Chris Craft, particularly if you're keeping it in a rack and stack or in a sea pen, so you probably don't have anti-foul on the bottom, therefore coming up on the beach like this boat without the anti-foul, it's not so much of a drama. If you've got anti-foul, yes, you're going to be rubbing it on and off. So in that case, you may then consider just deploying a stern anchor and then keeping the boat floating just off the shore. But this bow is sufficiently low for most people to jump off with ease. So coming close, I just want to show you the anchor operation. We do have a facility to do it from the helm, but this beautiful Chris Craft flag, which it's a rule, you must go driving with your Chris Craft burgee on the bow. If you don't, I think it voids your warranty. That's a lie, but I think they'd appreciate it if you do, because it looks cool. So, but what you need to do, if you want to open the anchor locker, just put that up and then it lays down flat like so, and then that allows you to open up the anchor locker without any hindrance from the pole there, and then you can release the safety, which I've already done. Now,
You can obviously do this from the helm, but just to show you, we have another option to do it here from the bow. I'm obviously just dropping it on the sand, but just pay attention to the design of this bow. So see, obviously if that was going into the water, it's just going to be dropping nice and far and away from all your nice sexy paint, because it's going to be going straight down as opposed to hitting the sand for me. So that's how that all operates. It's pretty straightforward. These boats are the quintessential day boat for people who have a luxury, enjoy a luxury life. So that's what it's all about. So yeah, I think that's all I can educate you on the performance and handling of this thing. She's for the person who wants to, or the couple, I would say, more likely, who just wants to have a really, really lovely day out. Now, if you are a buyer and you want to get some more insights that we've discovered throughout the day today and some of the information that I sort of gleaned from the dealers, I'm now going to make another video and pop that up on the Patreon account, and that seems to be the most useful piece of content for those of you who are about to push the button on a purchase. If you're just comparing this with the competition, I'll pop a link on a similar brand of boat, competing obviously, up on the screen right now. Go over there and do your own research, and hopefully these videos are helping you on that journey. Get out there and have some fun. I certainly did. Thanks guys. See you on the next one. In my experience of 20 years of selling boats before I got into this YouTube thing, for the Australian market, that is, I can't comment on Europe, Chris crafts are very prevalent throughout the whole east coast of Australia. So people know this brand, and if they, if you want to move it on in a couple of years to trade up or do whatever, you will be able to.